Landmines and jellyfish, welcome back to Knives, I guess, and I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. So, we've taken a look at my relationship with Kershaw, Gerber, and Schrade over the last couple of days here, and I've said it before, those guys are kind of like the Ford, Chevy, and Dodge of the knife world in this country. You know, if you want something decent, but you're not a knife guy and don't know everything out there, you probably default to one of those, especially if you're an older guy. And, you know, like I said in the last video, they're also kind of behind the times. Technology has outrun them by a lot. You know, stuff from QSP, Civivi, Artisan, Sativian. It's all kind of blowing those guys out of the water for overall quality, fit, finish, and ease of use. And these guys have all come up recently. And someone that came up a bit longer ago, but is doing what, you know, those three do, but, you know, better, is CRKT. And CRKT makes really good stuff in my opinion, but there's one certain thing about CRKT that I absolutely love and I will fangirl over non-stop. And you'll probably see what the unifying theme is as we get into this video. But the first thing we're going to take a look at is going to be my CRKTdactyl. And I saw this on a video and I just one look at it and I said to myself, Knives, I guess, you know you have to buy that for yourself, right? You have to. And this was still on Amazon at the time, and I think I spent 45 bucks maybe. And this thing's party trick is you press this lever down, and it opens sideways. That's kind of hard to do slowly, like my reflexes are always just, you know, pop it open. But it opens sideways. It opens sideways 360 degrees. This thing is absolutely funky. It's got that stank on it. And I love handing this to people and saying, here, you open it. And you watch them fumble with it for the longest time, and when you think they're about to break something, then you're like, here, just let me show you. This thing does lock. You push that in right there, and it's locked, and you can't do anything with it. You can't move it back and forth. You can't do anything. But once it's unlocked, it's good to go. Something else this has, and I'm not sure why, but you press this down, and you get a carabiner of sorts to clip it to something. Although I'm not sure why you'd want to do that with something clipped to it. It's impossible to open or close, and removing that before you open and close, it's a massive inconvenience. Now, as much as I love this thing, I don't really carry it. There's no pocket clip, and I can't put it in a pocket with other stuff in it because I don't want things getting caught in here between the blade and the frame and destroying the edge. So when I have pants like cargo pants or something that has a fifth pocket that I can put this in, I do carry it and show it off, and I enjoy it quite a bit. However, 99 days out of 100, I'm not wearing that because it's all work clothes or pajamas because I'm either at work or at home. I barely have the energy to fall asleep when I get home. But the next one I saw not too long after that was going to be this guy right here. And it showed up in a video, and I was like, Knives, I guess, you got to buy that one too. So this is the CRKT Van Hoy Snap Lock. And Ed Van Hoy is like the best at doing these funky designs, and I've only got two of them that he made for CRKT, and then he just kind of vanished. But the ones he made, oh dear God, they are fantastic. But this is just like the dactyl in that you press this down and it swings open sideways. And this one's a little harder to do slowly because this detent, what you would call a detent, this thing is really strong. You got to put a lot of pressure on it, but it snaps open. Now this doesn't 360 because it's got a pocket clip, and that's tip up, which is the Lord's carry. And I would carry it very frequently. However, these lugs that you press down to activate the knife and actuate it and manipulate it, all that stuff, they stick out pretty far and they hang up on the inside of a pocket or a waistband, and they make it very hard to get out. They make it very hard to get out to use, and they make it kind of difficult to push it back in to where you keep it. Which is unfortunate, but I understand. You know, it would have been nice if these were rounded off a little bit more or made a little bit more user-friendly, but that wasn't what it was intended for. It's an art piece to show off and hand to people and go, here, you open it. You know, it's a puzzle knife. And I'm okay with that. You know, it's a part of the collection. And again, if I got a fifth pocket free or something like that, or I'm not wearing work pants, sure, I'll carry it. But trying to carry it at work just doesn't work that well. I still absolutely love it. It's a beautiful design. I do think it's a work of art, especially the way this is designed and that little copper washer in there. It looks fantastic. You know, it'd be kind of nice to have one with more premium materials like some Damascus or something like that. That would be really cool. But those aren't out there. Maybe he has some in his collection that he made custom before they went production. I don't know. I saw a video with him, and I don't think he had this one out there on the table with him. So I'm not sure what happened there. But after I got these, I was hanging out with one of my brother-in-laws, and we were talking about knives because he has a collection. He kind of buys them like I do. And I mentioned CRKT, and he grabs this right here and says, have you seen these yet? And I had just seen my first Minimalist, and that was the Minimalist Bowie. So he hands this to me, and I crack it open. I was like, this is awesome. It's incredibly comfortable. I like the size on it. Like, this is really cool. And this is his old beater. It's even in the wrong sheath. It's in the wrong sheath, but it fits perfectly, and I don't know how that worked out. But this thing is a really cool little knife. You know, I'm not anywhere where I'd need a neck knife, so they don't really get carried. But if I was going out in the woods or something like that and had a chance to really cut loose and play with these things, absolutely. And I like this one so much that I used it as the template to make this. And you can see my logo is on there. I made this Damascus billet myself by hand. And this is 91 layers of raindrop Damascus, and this is my logo for my blacksmithing shop, the channel I abandoned. It's been on here on my arm for years. Like, this is my logo for everything, and it has been for the longest time. But I was working on this, and everything was going real good until I found this delamination down the center. And when your Damascus delaminates like that, that's game over. And sometimes you can grind through it, but when it's dead center like this, you're done. And I was heartbroken by that because I spent a good 10 hours at least just getting this billet together, and either I didn't catch some scale that formed in the middle, or I didn't get it when it was hot enough in the center of the billet. I'm not sure what went wrong. There's a couple of things, but you know, it's just rusting away in the shop now. There's not much I can do with it. I'm still really proud of the fact that I got this close, but I'm so heartbroken. And when you make knives, one of the first things you hear is start small. I did not start small, and I was having the hardest time. So I says to myself, knives, I guess, I'm going to start small on one, and I'm going to start with this. And things were going good. Like, this bevel right here is kind of even, and it was getting close to done, but this bevel right here, definitely not even. Like, it starts really shallow right here and becomes longer and flatter as you go up. It's definitely not even. I was working on walking this part back and doing all the shaping, and when the first delamination I found was, I think, over here, and there's still a little crack from one. And so I started trying to grind through it, and trying to grind through it, and trying to grind through it. And it wouldn't go away, and then this thing just popped open on me, and that was it. You know, still proud of what I did here, but such a disappointing failure. However, you know I love my pocket cleavers, so when the Minimalist cleaver came out, I had to have that. And again, really cool little knife, and these things are incredibly comfortable in the hand. Like, if you're the kind of guy that carries stuff like this, these are definitely well worth the money. I like them a lot, even though I don't carry fixies right now. And neck knives, like, I would carry this at work, but having something slapping me in the chest while I'm walking around, I don't know if I'm just weird about that, but it drives me nuts. A pin in my shirt pocket will drive me insane. My name tag drives me insane, but I have to wear it. So this is definitely a no-go for that, but if I'm in the woods or something like that and I can wear it comfortably, absolutely. I would love to play with these and really see what I can do with them, especially for like carving and doing small weird stuff, making making tinder, things like that. Yeah, sure. But right now I'm never in the woods. You know, I go to work, I come home, and I barely have enough energy to fall asleep when I'm done. I go balls out and give it 100% all day until I leave. But one thing that I did pick up was the CRKT Guppy. And this is a weird little multi-tool. You got this bit holder right here that's magnetically attached and pops off. And you got a little utility light there, which is handy if you need it, but, you know, it's there. So this thing does have a blade on it, and it's got a little slip joint right here, which also is handy if you need it, and this is what you got on you. There's not a whole lot of walk and talk on it, but, you know, I'm not sure the slip joint guys would be happy until that walk and talk sounds like an active shooter when they close it, so that is what it is. I'm not a slip joint guy, so I'm not bothered by it. And I got this because of the crescent wrench style wrench on it instead of the plier style wrench, because when I do need a plier style wrench, it's always loosening or tightening a nut, and that's it. So this wound up meeting that need pretty nicely, and I have used it quite a few times. You can see where it's been carried. It's picked up some scratches and dings on it. It has seen some use. And the bit driver, let me see which one of these I can press out easily. This one right here. So the bit driver is right here in the butt end, and it goes in there. And you have a very controllable, very good bit driver. Like, I like using this as a bit driver for a multi-tool because it doesn't fold up. I am right on top of it, centered on the bit itself. And when I'm laying around the house and I got something small I got to take care of, I'll grab this because I don't need to go looking for a Phillips head or a flathead. I got it all right here. and it's done quite a few small projects around the house. Very happy with it, and it's a good investment if you need a multi-tool, especially something to throw in your bag or your truck or something like that. It's actually been a good little multi-tool, and it's been a funky little multi-tool, and you can kind of see these things all got that stank on them. One of the other ones I have is a CRKT Compano. And I got this when mask mandates were peaking during the pandemic. And, you know, my immune system's jacked up. The wife's immune system's jacked up. I wasn't playing games with it. And, you know, going into buildings, I wanted to be as protected as you can be anyways. But when it's mandated, you know, you got to wear them. And so I didn't want to have to just jam them in a pocket and then unfold them and straighten them out to put them on again. Because when I left the house, it'd be the first time in 2 or 3 weeks. So I'd have to make like 5 stops. And, you know, this made it a little bit easier to deal with. This was clipped on my belt loop, and then I just clip the mask in there and do what I got to do. And when I have to put it on, I put it on. This thing has a slip joint blade on it, and I actually like the slip joint for what it is. You know, it's done a lot of small cuts. It's come in very, very handy, and you're kind of locked in right here with this. And as long as you're not making piercing cuts and trying to pry on it the wrong way, you're good, as long as you're safe. I do get complacent with slip joints and I get cut. That's why I don't carry them that often. It's my fault, not the slip joint's fault. But this thing does have a little walk and talk. Click and click, but it doesn't snap shut, you know, like a hammer hitting a 2x4, like a lot of guys that carry slip joints like. Now, the Dactyl and this both have one thing in common. If you want to sit there and fidget with it, you just put your finger in the loop and you can spin it around, and it's actually quite entertaining. When I was waiting in line in places and stuff like that, like looking at my phone while I'm waiting for something is incredibly difficult, and I don't know why. My brain just doesn't connect with, hey, distraction. I want to be done with the thing I'm doing, and that's all I'm focused on. So fidgeting with something like this is actually a little bit better. And, you know, the wife doesn't have to hear me doing this all the time. Like, I understand. She's not a knife person. If you're not a knife person, that noise has got to drive you insane after a while. It's got to. As a knife guy, you like hearing stuff click open and closed when you're the one doing it. But this thing has served me well. It served as my keychain for quite a while. All my keys are on a different keychain now because I have a bunch of extra ones for work. But this thing was great. And, I mean, if you want a funky keychain with a knife and some fidget, this is a good one to get. My next one is going to be the CRKT Nerk Tai, and this is one the wife got me for my birthday. And you know, we don't celebrate my birthday. That's a long, dark, crazy story. But I don't do my birthday. And the best ones I've had are when everyone forgot it was my birthday until it was too late. But I picked this thing out, and it was on my wish list because look at this design. Let's flick the bean on it. It's got this nice skeletonized design. The blade itself is okay, but that's not the selling point. The selling point for me is the lock. It's a lockback, but not in a traditional lockback sense. You press down here on the frame, and the whole frame moves and unlocks the blade. Like, that is just insanely cool design. I do like the screw on the pivot pin right there. That is a nice little touch. But honestly, it's this funky frame, and the fact that it locks like this. You know, I don't always carry lockbacks because they take 2 hands to manipulate, but this one I will make the exception for just because it is so cool. You know, and again, if I'm going to make an exception for ease of carry, like these guys I had to learn how to use. This one, I got to use 2 hands to close it. If I make exceptions for that, it's for a reason. And for these, they're just incredibly cool and fun. Learning how to use them was worth the effort. For this one, this is cool. I like to show it off. And this is kind of just special to me because of where it came from. So I'll make the exception, and I'll carry something that isn't a liner lock or a, you know, frame lock. I do like this thing a lot. And I know there are ones online that are blue instead of green, but I'm not sure what the deal is. Those are very rare and more expensive, and I don't see them for sale. So I do have the green one. I'd love to have the blue one too, but I don't have to have 2 of the same knife just to change colors. The next one on the list here is going to be the CRKT Ritual. And I got this for myself to celebrate my first promotion at work. I got moved from part-time to full-time as a department head. And while it's not a huge promotion, it was the first thing I'd accomplished for myself in a long time, so I wanted to do something. And videos of this were just coming out, so it's like, you know what? I gotta have that. I love my pocket swords, and ka-chow. Look at that. This thing is absolutely huge. It is cold steel pocket sword territory. And it looks incredibly cool. I love the white on the handles in contrast with the blue. The colors really pop. And I love the scimitar shape. Like, scimitars are some of the coolest swords on the planet to me. This is kind of right there in my wheelhouse. However, It is incredibly impractical to carry and use. About the only thing it's useful for is pull cuts, and if you're not doing a large pull cut and you're working on something small like trying to cut stuff off a pallet safely, you've only got about that much blade to work with, and it's not comfortable to hold. I do like carrying this and showing it off, but at work it's not all that useful. It's just a collection piece that sits there, and when I do want to carry it and show it off, it's just for a show knife. Like, I know it's not an expensive knife to a lot of people. But $100 some odd bucks for me is expensive, and it takes a while to save that up, or I gotta let something else go in order to spend that money, which is part of why you see me messing around with budget knives nonstop that I can get. And then when I see something I need, like the Cold Steel Frenzy, then I stop buying stuff and wait till I have it put up and then get it. So this is one of those. It's really a showpiece, and for me it's on the expensive side, so I do like to show it off. And they did a good thing here. It's really weird. It's really crazy. It's out there. It's literally a pocket sword, and I absolutely love this thing. The last thing that I think I have here is the CRKT Van Hoy Snapfire. And this is, again, when I say Ed Van Hoy is just the king of making cool stuff for CRKT, even though there was like 3, and one of them doesn't have a funky opener. It's just a weird-looking blade, so I didn't really go chasing that one down. But somebody in one of my high-end Facebook groups shared a short on this, and I saw that and immediately went, knives, I guess. You know what you got to buy. And looking at it just right here, it is incredibly weird, and it's absolutely beautiful to me. And you open it by pressing down on the wheel, and it opens like that. So it's supposed to lock like that, but if you push down on the end of the blade a little bit, it'll push down on the wheel, and then it'll close sometimes, like pushing on it right here. It'll close. So it's not necessarily the biggest, not necessarily the safest thing in the world, but you're not carrying it for that, and you're not carrying it for hard use. It's not really a problem. You're carrying it to show off the weird opening. And I have carried this, and this one actually carries well. You got these big discs right here, and they make it fairly easy to slide in and out of the waistband, and this pocket clip is actually designed to handle that really well. That's a good pocket clip for how I carry. This side is not fixed, it's floating, so you can sit there and do this all day long to your heart's content and not bother anybody with it. And I have sat there for just whole evenings just doing this while I'm watching videos. This is about as weird as it gets, and I absolutely love it, and this is probably the weirdest knife in my collection by a little bit. And I had to have it. Like, you guys can see the unifying theme here with all this. These are kind of more mainstream, mundane, but everything else in here is pretty weird. I love it when companies do stuff like this. I wish CRKT would get back to this, and I'd love to see other companies compete with them and kind of have an arms race for weird knives that actually work. So, this is my relationship with CRKT. I love CRKT. I've seen some guys that don't like them. That's not me. I absolutely love them when they do stuff like this. And I don't have any of their other mainstream stuff like the Fossil and a few others I can't remember the names of right now because these are the ones I focused on. But, this is the stuff I love. This is the stuff I love about knives, is when they get really weird and crazy like this. I do love my more mundane stuff, just the flipper tab on bearings and all that. They're a lot easier to use. They're much more convenient, and those are work knives. These aren't necessarily work knives. Like, these are work knives in the right environment. This can be a work knife, show knife, work knife / show knife, and show knife. And, that's what they are to me. These are all just really cool things to show off, and I absolutely love every single one of them for what they are. But I've rambled on long enough, so with that, I'm going to say thank you for looking at my crap. Thank you for the subscribers. I'll say it every time. It is humbling that people watch this stuff and enjoy it. Thanks for the comments. I love feedback. Sometimes there's some good dialogue there. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.